Hopefully it doesn't pick up too much around that. Hello, and we're live. Welcome to this week's Friday Q&A with XP Property. I'm Ben Richards, and this is Jack Jiggins. We've been developers in London and the home counties for the last 5 years, in amongst the ecosystem of businesses that we also run alongside that: an architectural practice, a surveying practice, a property management company, and a social housing portfolio that we've been building. So we can get into some of that detail as we go through this Q&A. We're here for you, so if there's any questions that you guys have got, any burning questions about business or property, do let us know in the comments section on whatever platform you're tuning in. So this week we are running through quite a number of projects and things that have been happening over this past week, and I'm very happy to say that on Tuesday we completed on our latest scheme, which is this one in West Drayton. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that project, Colney Hatch Lane, which is another project we've got going on, Sunset Court, which we're just finishing, some other interesting stuff about going to south of France to MIPIM this year, talking about our social portfolio, and then some other things as well. So do stay tuned for the rest of it. Jack, do you want to
kick off from West Drayton? Yeah. Hello everyone, hope you've had a good week. So kicking off with West Drayton, which is an old solicitor's office that we are buying actually off the pension that's owned by the solicitors. The building that we agreed, and just want to talk a bit about sort of building a pipeline and why it's very important to build a pipeline, is we actually had original conversations with the owner back in 2020. We lettered the building because we recognised it to be in an area of interest and the size of interest. We're interested in converting buildings that are already existing over 2,000 square feet. So we sent a letter to the owner expressing our interest for redevelopment and to add value. And tracking back all the way to 2020, there was a process of bringing that vendor to the point that they were willing to sell the asset, agreeing a price, taking it through legals. We managed to agree an exchange delayed completion on this building, which was hugely beneficial for us to get our ducks in a row and work on planning, also work on design. So the news this week is we managed to complete on the building. So we're now proud owners of this site. It's in a great location on the high street in West Drayton. The building is made up of just over 3,000 square foot of office space and 2 retail units you can see there behind the roller shutter doors. One of the retail units is already let out and the other one is vacant. We have already agreed to let the other retail unit and to re-gear the lease on the existing unit. So our retail units are full and in legals. And we're now, I believe we're about 3 or 4 months in the application process of planning permission, which Ben's showing you the drawings of, which we have submitted for 6 apartments to convert the existing office into 6 flats and 1 small retail / commercial unit at the front. So it will end up being 6 flats and 3 commercial units. You can see the footprint there. We've got 8 parking spaces out the back, which is great for this particular location. So you can see there's a cut-through drive and then a car park, and our building on the right-hand side, which spans over 2.5 stories. But yeah, we picked up the keys. We got them cut immediately. We've had people in there today. Actually, someone that's wanting to buy the whole space off us as it is. So why not have that conversation and see where they come in at? I actually need to call the agent back on that. But the next steps for us on this scheme is fully been equity funded with a private investor. We bought with a first charge lender called Glenhawk, and we are now just pushing the planning application forward to get a result and to then flip that into a development facility to deliver the scheme of 6 flats and 3 commercial units. And that's West Drayton. Anything else to add?
No, I think you've covered that. I think maybe in one of the next week's Q&As, we'll maybe go into a little bit of detail, or if anyone's got any specific questions they want to know about that project, then do type them in the comments and we can cover them off either today or next week in detail. Cool. So let's now look at the scheme in the middle here. So the Colney Hatch Lane project. This is up in Muswell Hill, and again we've agreed this purchase on an exchange with delayed completion, and planning permission has been submitted, and it was submitted back in September. We've got 2 schemes running in tandem: a 2-unit large executive home scheme and a block of 9 flats. So it diversifies our exit, having those potential options going through planning. And last week, if you tuned in, you'd have we spoke about the meeting that I had with the local planning authority, the planning officers, and their I guess reservations about a certain elements of the scheme. Very minor. We've been in the design process with the architects, looking at what the rear elevation could look like. They wanted to break down. You can't see my cursor, can you? But anyway, the top image is the CGI that we created and submitted first time round. They didn't like the heavy massing and the sort of top heavy nature of that rear elevation. So they wanted us to break it down in terms of the massing and the materiality. So the image below is effectively where we've got to. So creating more brickwork in that central section, splitting the mass of the metal up on that top section, and that's what we've resubmitted to the planning officer, who very kindly said they would take a look at what we've redesigned, give the sort of go ahead if that's where they're headed, or ask us to redesign it again. So they'll look at it before we then formally resubmit and update the full planning package, and give us the nod on what they prefer. So stay tuned. This one should be over the line, I'd say, in the next couple of weeks, and we should get the planning approval through, subject to these finer sort of tweaks that the planning officer has asked for. Anything else you want to say about that one?
No.
Good stuff.
I suppose we could say, so we're due to complete on that site in May this year. We're finalising an investment deck to get that deal funded and bought. So if there's anyone out there that is interested in investing in schemes in North London, ping us a line, DM us, or whatever you want to do, and we can share the investment deck. If you're nosy and want to see what our investment deck looks like, also ping us a line, and we're happy to share it, just so that you can take a look at what a standard XP property project investment deck looks like.
Cool. Good stuff. So next on the list is Sunset Court. So if you've been following us for a while, you will know that we are just completing on a office conversion to 4 flats and a pair of semis in the car park space. And you can see the left-hand side semi in that image. What I wanted to briefly talk about for those that are in the midst of completing projects is there are a certain amount of post-completion tests that you need to carry out for building control and the likes. And we've just had those finished. So you'll see the red blob over the front door. That is actually, they are undergoing the air pressure test. So effectively they block up the front door and put a big fan on the front of it, pump the house full of air at a certain pressure, and any air that leaks out of the fabric of the building is then calculated to give you an air permeability test result. So that looks a little bit like this, if I can share. So these are the air tests that we had undertaken. On new builds, the target figure is 4, and we achieved just under that, so 3.8 and 3.9, which is a pass. And then the office conversion to flats, the target figure is 10, and we achieved basically between 7 and 7.5. These figures are quite crucial to your SAP assessments and ultimately your EPC. The lower the figure, the lower the air permeability, the better the the heat loss will be in the properties, and therefore your EPC is going to be far greater. So when you look at passive house standards, typically that's an air permeability loss of 1. So very, very tight air leakage, nothing much getting through. Most of the heat that's created in the property is kept in the property. So I just thought it'd be quite useful to show some of the things that you have to do post-completion. And the one other thing that I did want to quickly talk about, as part of the air permeability tests, we've also had to undertake sound tests, so acoustic tests, which effectively are twofold. There are airborne tests that basically sort of test shouting and noise between two walls or 2 floors. And then you have an impact assessment, which is fundamentally, if you're living in a flat and you've got someone stomping around upstairs, you don't want to hear that in your flat below. So these tests basically test the air noise transfer between flats, whether that be through separating walls or separating floors. This one, for example, tested our dividing wall in the new build houses. So tested the airborne noise travel between the party wall between the two Muse houses, and you can see we smashed the results. So our required was 45 as a minimum, we actually achieved 63, so we were sort of 30% above what building control recommends from that perspective. So no sound transferring through there. So yeah, I thought that'd be quite useful for people to see if they haven't seen that before.
I'm not sure our acoustic testing would be that good in this current venue that we're recording.
Yeah, apologies if it's really noisy. It is quite noisy behind us. Thank you very much, Lemmings Media. Glad you are enjoying. On to point number 4. Jack, do you want to sort of, this was basically a chance for us to sort of explain how we work as a business in terms of external investment. Jack, if you want to.
Yeah, of course. We took some of our investors to the property awards in December and thoroughly enjoyed ourselves there. But I just wanted to sort of share. We mentioned Colney Hatch Lane, which is a project that we have coming up, which requires investment. We have another project in Legals, which is also currently out for investment. But just to explain more in detail about any listeners out there that may themselves or know people that could partner with a company like ours. There's 2 different types of ways that we work with private investment. We either do a fixed loan return where you come on for a specific project, and every single project that we work with a partner is ring fenced in its own entirety in a new limited company with a new bank account and under obviously legal agreement. But we can offer fixed returns within that project. Obviously, all of this is subject to reviewing the existing scheme and whatever it looks like, and we can run through projects in detail. Alternatively, and more commonly, we work with equity partners. So we provide the skills, the expertise, we bring the deal, we provide obviously the time, and deliver that end to end, including finding it, funding it, structuring it, design, delivery, planning, marketing, and sales. And then we split the upside or with our partners, and quite frequently we then sort of recycle that capital into new projects. We also pay introducer fees to anyone out there that doesn't may not have the capital themselves, but have people that are wanting to get into the space of property. But I think it's just worthwhile touching on a few things that our business does, which sets us aside from some, not all, but some potential other borrowers or development companies. So Tom, our technical project manager, sent out our monthly report to our investors on Sunset Court this week. So that is a line item review on where we're on time and on budget trackers, where any potential risks are in the projects coming up. So Sunset Court, we have had a bit of a longer journey than we'd have hoped we're planning. So it's giving our investors an update with that. Throughout all projects, even when we're initially proposing a project to an investment partner, during or even after, we have an open book mentality. So everything that we have is completely open. So that's a shared drive link, and they have exposure to everything that we're doing. We know in our business that things do change and sometimes go wrong, but it's how you deal with those. So we would rather show how we can manage those situations more so than sort of cover them over. We're very honest and upfront in that capacity. We have quite a few current backers, but we've got a great pipeline and construction running up this year. So we'd be really keen to engage with any new parties. Believe it or not, we have had, whether it's from seeing us online or, friends of friends, or whether it's seeing us at the awards, we have had a lot of people come through our network that are now working with us and really enjoying the partnership that we're sort of building with them. So a good opportunity to share that. And if anyone's got any questions, just let us know on that front. And I mentioned about our investment deck. If anyone wants to see how we present something, just let us know.
Good stuff. Thanks for that. Next on the list, MIPIM. For those that don't know what this is, we're going to be heading to the south of France next week for 3 days, sharing a nice villa with a number of other property developers, and then going and networking with thousands of other property investors, property developers, lenders, consultants, anyone interested in the real estate space. It is the biggest real estate exhibition in Europe. From what I understand, it's a bit of a piss up. So we'll see how that goes. But we've got a lot of meetings lined up with prospective lenders, funds, partners, consultants that we're really looking forward to. So if you are there, do hit us up, send us a message, wherever, socials, emails, wherever you can find us. We'd love to meet up and have a chat. So yeah, hope to see you there.
Very good. We've got a few events that we've got lined up at MIPIM as well. So it'd be good if any of our network are heading out there, to sort of share diaries and see what you're going to. And we have potentially an event that anyone in our network could come along to too. So point number 7. So over the last sort of 2.5 years, Ben and I have been brought in as a core to partnership on a social portfolio. To explain what social portfolio is, it's fundamentally like building a big investment portfolio, but our tenant is a housing association. I believe we're completed about 100 beds. We're now approaching sort of 120 to 130 beds. The portfolio, we're coming towards the end of completion, but there's buyers out there in the market for this stock to buy yield, and we received an offer last Saturday, which we wanted to share with everyone. And if anyone wants to know more about social portfolios, let us know. Or alternatively, if anyone knows any buyers, also let us know, because there's nothing like an offer if you've got it to compare to something too. But I think we haven't talked too much about the social side of our business, so it'd be good to get some questions and queries and hear some conversations driving up off the back of hopefully this prompt.
Good stuff.
We got a question, hang on.
Oh, okay.
Because I think it's relevant. Do you guys focus on purely HMOs for the social portfolio? So no, we focus on any different types of assets. So we've bought houses, C3 houses. We've bought disused sort of B&B care facilities. And we've also bought old HMOs that are tired and repurposed them for new use. Obviously, jumping through the relevant planning applications that we have to go through for all 3 of those different types of uses. But we've been very flexible in terms of what we look at. We have learned that the smaller 3, 4, 5 beds is equally as difficult to deliver as the sort of 8, 10, 15 beds. So we have scaled marginally since we set up to larger assets. So we're comfortable in the sort of 10 to 15 to 20 unit space. But yeah, we're happy to consider straight residential HMOs or even disused commercial buildings.
Yeah, it's probably worth saying we've tried to scale as relatively fast as we can. We're up to just shy of 120 beds over the last sort of 2.5 years. To reach the mandates and the targets that the housing providers want, we are going to have to throw in a lot of new build into that process just to speed up that scale, because buying individual small assets, like Jack mentioned, it's very time consuming, and you can't grow as fast as building, let's say, a block of 50, 60 flats to kick all that off in one development. It's been an interesting process. We would love to share a lot more about it at some point. So if you do have any questions about it, drop them in the comments, and that could be a good source of inspiration for us to talk about in another Friday Q&A.
So XP Boardroom.
Yeah, the reason why we're in this space that we are, with unfortunately the guys cooking in the background, is that today we've had our monthly boardroom session. So there's sort of 10 other mentees upstairs in the pub, in the bar area, having spent the last sort of 5 hours with us, running through goals, achievements, and talking about what they've been up to and trying to kind of input, help, leads, needs, and sort of making contacts and sharing our knowledge, sharing our contact base, and basically trying to kind of help them grow their own businesses alongside us. And it's a very sort of draining afternoon, because there's so much talked about, and there's lots of stuff flying around that's really useful for everyone. We look forward to it every month.
A good draining. We had 2 guest speakers today. We had James McGregor from Mesa Finance, so a finance broker specialising in not only commercial property, residential property development, but also business structured finance. And we also had Andrew, who was providing a talk on capital allowances and how the people in the room could be saving good value on stuff that they're buying, but also developing and claiming back on those capital allowances that might not have been claimed on yet. So we bring those people into the room, which is enjoyable. But if anyone wants to excel their property business and be held accountable, it's definitely a good place to be.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I think we will probably save ourselves a good £20,000 in tax by the conversation that we had this afternoon, not realising that one of our existing assets qualifies for capital allowances. So it's conversations like this that really help us kind of get that extra edge over other people, I think, and either make savings or enable us to add more value to our schemes. So yeah, if anyone wants to get involved in the XP Boardroom process, there is a link on our website. If you go to xpproperty.co.uk, there is a boardroom section on there. So if you're interested, do get in touch. I do have a little bit of a short video which I wanted to play just to see how it goes down in terms of you guys and your response to that. So I'll play that now and then join you back afterwards. Cool. So yeah, thanks for sticking around if you did on that. It's something that we really enjoy doing. We do an element of sort of one-to-one mentorship as well, which we both really enjoy and are really passionate about growing people's businesses and love feeding into that. So if you are interested, do get in touch. What else have we got? So boardroom session. The only final thing that I wanted to say is that I'm playing poker tonight, and I will be sort of showing people that process tonight over on various social platforms, Instagram and whatnot. I haven't played for a long time. Those that know me know that it was a job of mine as I graduated university. I played poker full time for a year, and I like to dabble every now and again, but I haven't done so in a long time. So tonight I will be playing in the Grosvenor Victoria Casino in London in a tournament, and hopefully I'm not back at home in bed by 9 o'clock, because that means I've done terribly. So yeah, do tune in on socials for that. We are live every Friday at 5 p.m. That should give you a glimpse of the types of things that we talk about. It's basically a rundown of what's happened in the week, what's going on within our property businesses, within our service-based businesses, and if there is anything that anyone wants to know, do type them in the comments. We will get back to you, and we think it's a great source of inspiration for us to talk about next time round. So no comment is a stupid comment. We are here to answer questions and help you grow your businesses as well. So thanks for tuning in. I don't know if you had anything else to say.
Yeah, I would just like to add that we've talked about some investment stuff, and I did want to make it clear that Ben's poker tournament is with his own consumer finance.
It is very true. That's a good way to end. Cool. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Cool.
Speak to you next week.
See you later.
Cheers.